This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English, episode number 220, baby. Oh yeah. This episode is a little bit special in the fact that, number one, it's late because normally the podcast comes on a Monday, but also special because this is the first podcast that you'll hear where I am officially a dad. Yes, that's right, Mrs. R&R gave birth to our beautiful baby girl, Lara Grace, on Valentine's Day, which was a day I must admit I hated before, but now I suppose I will quite like it. Anyway, I had recorded this podcast previously with Dan the Man, where we spoke about being brave and a competition of bravery. I had almost finished the episode, I just hadn't done this intro and outro, but then baby R&R came and everything went a bit crazy. So here is the episode. One more thing, there it will be no R&R vocab at the end because I'm doing this very, very quickly because, as you can imagine, I'm a little bit busy at the moment. But all of the R&R vocabulary is on the website rockandrollenglish.com/220. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks where I'll probably tell you exactly how baby R&R arrived. But in the meantime, happy listening. Dan the Man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Always fantastic, Dan. Always fantastic. Even more fantastic that you are now using the correct microphone, because last time you were on the show, you had your new iPod things, I don't know the name, and said, no, look, the audio on these is amazing.
Yeah, for me, listening, it was fantastic. Your voice was so crisp.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Some lovely vocabulary there as well. Crisp, like really clear in this sense, let's say. I made the mistake of trusting you because you said, trust me, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I did, and it was awful. Mm-hmm. Absolutely awful. The only good thing that came from that is that you then sent me a message and said, the audio was terrible. Mm-hmm. You're right. Mm-hmm. So just hearing that, like, well, you were right. Mm-hmm. I thought, wow, that's really something. And I immediately then did think about this and thought about the episode we did about Brexit when you repeatedly said it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Taken from a podcast made in March 2019.
I honestly don't believe it will happen because it will almost certainly go to a second referendum now. Almost certainly.
There wasn't a second referendum and Brexit did happen. Unlucky Dan.
So I'm still waiting for you to say you were right, Martin.
Well, in my head it hasn't happened, so everything's fine for me.
Yeah, that's all that matters then, in your head. I mean, if the world sort of went by what goes on in your head, Dan, I mean, we would be in an even worse situation than we're in now.
I think, fortunately, the Brexit thing has been overshadowed by other things, so I got away with it.
Lovely vocabulary again there, overshadow. So something bigger and more important, let's say, has come in, which I suppose is the virus. So yeah, you did get away with it. You were not punished, okay? Mm-hmm. But if you would like to send me a message or publicly say that I was right...
Well, hang on, I've already sent you a fucking message. What, you want a second message?
Well, that was for something else. These are collector's items, Dan. So collector's items, like they don't happen very often, these messages. So, you know, I want to print them and put them on my wall, okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll think about it.
Okay, you do that. Anyway, Dan, how do we usually start the show?
With a review.
Oh, yeah. Do you think we have a review?
No.
Always positive, Dan?
Well, I normally say yes, and then you say you're always wrong, so I'm just going to guess you haven't got a review.
It's 50-50. But there is a review, and it's from Mehdi Ghazi. As always, apologies for the pronunciation, and it says, you made my week, a precious source for listening practice as well as speaking, which I have recommended to everyone. I've listened to 80 of your episodes just this week and shared it among 2,000 of my friends, as I know they are all looking for something like this. Thank you all so much. Wow. So thank you very much, Mehdi. But yes, spread the word.
Have you had a 2,000 jump in listeners, or Do their friends not really listen to them? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't think anyone listened. I very rarely check downloads anymore, mainly because I think, people are listening. I'm doing my job, okay? Like Jesus, like he was spreading the word of God. I'm spreading the word of rock and roll English.
Yeah, you are like Jesus. You're right. Okay.
In so many ways, not just physical appearance, which many people have said to me, in other ways as well. So, Dan, in today's episode, I thought we can see who is braver between you and me, okay? Who is more courageous, okay? We like competition, so I've got some questions and then we'll see who is braver, okay?
Isn't it braver between you and I? I mean, you're an English teacher, aren't you?
You and I is actually not correct.
Is it
Dan,
not?
By the way, is it not? It is not. I could go into a grammar explanation and explain this, but I don't think your small brain is big enough.
Is that actually true? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's correct to say you and I are friends, for example.
Yeah.
But you cannot finish a sentence with I.
But you can with me.
Yes, of course. So, for example, if I said to you, who's going to the party later, you wouldn't say I, you would say me. That's a sentence.
I would say I.
Well, then you're a complete idiot because that has absolutely no sense.
I didn't know that. Okay, right. So I've already embarrassed myself. We're, 2 minutes into
Yep.
the podcast? Okay.
No, well, every day is a school day, Dan. We're all here to learn, you included, okay? So, yes, we're going to see who is braver, okay? And I've got some questions, and then we'll see, if you're scared of these things or if I'm scared of these things, and at the end we'll see who is braver. So, number one, very, very pertinent at the moment to me, so very relevant, very important, is childbirth. Are you scared of childbirth, Dan?
Well, I can't give childbirth, so...
No?
No. It's not something I thought about, but then I'm not expecting a child, so, I mean, you would be the one who could answer that.
Well, two things to say there. When you said that you can't have a baby, I actually had a dream the other day that I was having a baby, and believe...
For a second, I thought you were going to say you had a dream I was having a baby.
I mean, I think it's strange that I'm dreaming that I'm having a baby, but if I was dreaming that you were having a baby, then I would probably go to hospital to like some kind of mental clinic thing. Not sure if that's the official name of these places. Yeah. And I also hadn't thought about this recently, Dan, not since we watched that video in biology when we were about 15. And that was a very, very traumatic experience for me. So I'm now very worried about the birth of my child. Not for Mrs. R&R. She'll be fine. She'll be absolutely fine. I'm worried that I'm going to faint, basically. So remember, when you faint is when you lose consciousness, because I don't like seeing these kind of things. I can actually imagine it now, being in this room whilst Mrs. R&R is there. She's shouting in pain, and then I can just imagine me saying, I've actually got a little bit of a headache at the moment. If you could just maybe keep the noise down, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, it's probably best not to talk. Just and don't be in eyesight.
Yeah. Oh God, it's really something that that I'm worrying about. This is why I'm having these nightmares. I think of having babies myself as well. But I'm going to be there, Dan, on the front line, okay, facing my fear, and I'll be there. I will be there. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go, but I'll be there.
I'm worried for you.
I'm very worried for myself as well. I'm also worried about becoming one of those parents that puts things on social media of like, oh my God, how is my baby 1 week old already?
Do you know what's worse than that? Because I when people say, oh yeah, great Friday night or whatever, there's someone I know who will then share the picture 2 years later. Oh, this was 2018, what a night. I didn't care the first time. Stop sharing it.
Yeah, so some of the memories, like, if it's a memory of, I don't know, getting married or something big, but yeah, if it's just a memory of going to the pub on a Friday night.
Exactly.
Is that such a great memory? And yeah, these people that I always see like, oh my God, how is it 2021? And I think, well, it's quite simple, really. 2020 was last year. Now, the next year is 2021. It's Very
Exactly.
simple. Very
Exactly.
simple. So I think I probably won that round. Okay.
How have you won that round?
The judge said that, Dan. Okay. So the next round is: Are you scared of insects?
I know what you're going to do here. No, but I've seen you scared in a caravan before.
This is absolutely not true. I mean, I must admit, I think everyone is a bit scared of insects. Like, you see a spider or something like that, one of the big ones. But when I was on holiday with Dan the Man and we were in a caravan, we had the light on, always dangerous at night. Those insects always going to come in. And we had a moth, which it's difficult to describe this. It's, let's say, like an ugly butterfly, okay? Came in and Dan the Man, within a second, was under the bed. I thought someone was shooting at us. Like, if someone's shooting, like, get under the bed, get under the table. And I was like, oh my God, what has just happened? And I said, Dan, what's happened? And he said, there's a moth.
This is not true.
That is 100% true.
That is not true, and that is 100% one of the worst holidays I've been on. That caravan was awful.
I thought it was a good caravan. So we went away. We were originally planning on camping. Imagine that. Dan the Man and I. Sorry, Dan the Man and me. It's difficult to remember that rule. Dan the Man and me in a tent. And then we decided to upgrade from the tent and we went to the cheapest caravan that was available.
In a beautiful caravan park. I mean, the caravan park was lovely. I thought, this is going to be all right. And so we got to the back of the caravan park and we saw our caravan.
Yeah, it's like, when you're on a plane and you have to walk past first class when you get on the plane and you've got all of these, like, first class, business class, and it's getting worse and worse. And then you get to like economy class and you're like, okay, right, no leg room. This is for me.
This was worse than economy class. This was something else.
I will put a picture of it on the website, but just know, Dan the Man, I thought either someone's shooting at the caravan or there's an earthquake, because that's what you do, apparently. You get under like a table or something like that. And Dan the Man was under a bed and there was a moth. And I thought, what are you doing?
Well, I think I've won this round because you know the procedures. If there's an earthquake, you jump under the table. I don't even care about those. So I think I've won this because that you sound more scared than me.
Well, I'm just being careful, Dan. Okay? You can never be too careful. Better safe than sorry, as they say.
Yeah,
okay?
So let me guess, that's 2-0, yeah?
I think I've got that one as well. So that's 2-0. Notice we say 2-0. We don't really say 2-0. That's more of an American thing to say. So in English we say 2-0. So what about rock climbing? Would you be scared of climbing rocks?
Actually, no. I want to start doing rock climbing. Actually, so no.
You know what? On my piece of paper that I have here, I've got Dan fancies himself as a bit of a rock climber. So when you fancy yourself as something, you kind of think, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. Basically because Dan has read a few books about people climbing mountains. And then like he just goes out and starts climbing a tree and thinks that he's like Spider-Man.
I like hiking. I like that sort of thing. And there's actually a rock climbing wall outside our flat. We're very close to it now. So, yeah.
So, first of all, have you climbed that wall outside? Is it like a proper rock climbing centre, or is it just you climbing a wall?
Well, kind of both.
When people are like calling the police because they think you're like going to like break in. So when you break in, it's when you enter illegally.
No, it's kind of both. So on the river here, there's a high bank of like a wall, to protect if the river goes high, and they put rock climbing grips in the wall. So people can go there for free and do it. So it's kind of both, I guess.
But have you actually done this yet, or no?
No, because I'm just my elbow is still a little bit sore.
Of course, the broken elbow. We had forgotten about that. Sounds like an excuse to me, Dan. So of your dreams of climbing mountains, and then you're too scared to climb outside the wall.
You wouldn't climb a wall, would you? You're just scared of climbing the stairs.
Depends how steep the stairs are. So when the stairs are steep, they go high very quickly, let's say. So I can be a little bit scared. So I'll give you that one because I think you need it, but I'm not sure if you've actually won that. What about this one? Your country is under attack, okay? Would you join the military if your country is under attack? Like they're calling people, we need people, like help us. I think, what was it during the First World War? We need you, with the man pointing. Would you join the military, Dan?
You answer first because I don't want to answer and then you use that as ammunition.
I would, if someone called me and said, our country is under attack, we need you, I would say, look, mate, I'm the worst person that you could ask. So ask someone else.
They probably would struggle to find a uniform for you, wouldn't they?
Exactly. I would be like, have you got any children's sizes for the army uniform?
Yeah, sorry. You can be a chef. You can be you can cook.
I'll come for moral support. I can be a cheerleader. So if you've got like a little skirt or something, I'll put that on and I'll say like, go, yeah, let's do this, man.
Immediately lose the war.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. I would say, look, by me joining the military, we've got much less chance of winning this war. So forget me. So I'm definitely not doing it. I'm sorry. What about you?
If the conditions were right, I'd do it.
Again, Dan fancies himself as a bit of a hero. I'm sure he thinks that he's going to literally win the war. Like it's, we could lose, and then Dan the man steps in. So when you step in, it's when you come in and saves the day. Kind of like Superman.
You said it. Your words, not mine.
Exactly. Okay, right. Well, maybe we're level now then. Right. Okay, so I've got a situation for you that this time, Dan. So you're walking down the street and you see an old lady getting mugged. Okay, what do you do? So when you get mugged, it's like when someone on the street basically steals something from you, like in a violent way, let's say. What would you do, Dan?
Well, the thing is, I can't answer this question now because whatever I say, what I want to say, you're going to say, oh, he thinks he's Superman.
That's not true. What would you do?
I would like to think I would start hitting them.
Immediately for the violent option there, not just to just step in again and just sort of say like
with a weapon as well. If there's two of them, you'd need to have something.
Jeez, I'm actually quite worried, Dan. Do you normally go around with weapons in your pockets?
No, but if you find a loose brick on the floor.
Jesus, you're actually quite started to scare me. I don't normally look for those things.
And of course, I don't look for it. But surely you would pick up something. What would be your weapon of choice?
Well, to be honest, if it was a brick, the brick might be too heavy for me to lift. Yeah. I mean, I'm only lifting 3 kilos.
The robbers will come over and help pick you up.
Yeah, I'll be there like saying to the muggers, can you just help me pick up this brick, please? And then maybe I can try and throw it. Or the other thing, throw the brick, you miss the muggers and you hit the old woman. Then what do you do? She's on the floor.
Yeah, run.
Run, leave her on the floor. Yeah, that would be Dan the man stepping in. He picks up a brick to save this woman and then actually accidentally hits the woman and then runs away.
What hero?
Now that's Superman, isn't it? Now that's Superman. But yeah, I also like to think I would step in, do something, maybe just start shouting or something. But a time when this actually did happen, where one of my friends was getting some aggro, let's say, some aggro. There's a nice term, slang term to say like basically aggravation, like someone's disturbing them, let's say. And we were out and I thought, no, I'm not having this. So I'm not having this. I'm not accepting this. I'm going to say something because I decided to stand up for my friend. Another nice term there when you defend your friend. And that night finished with me calling Dan the man to take me to hospital because I had a broken nose. So that ended really well.
I remember that. That was about 2 a.m, wasn't it? Why did you call me and not pay £3 for a taxi?
I mean, taxis were more than £3.
Not back then.
I mean, you're talking like it was 50 years ago, Dan. I mean, it was
18, 20 years ago. It's not that long ago.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, the reason I think probably I called you, Dan, is because it was a Friday night.
I'd have nothing to do.
Exactly. Most 19-year-olds, 18, 19-year-olds were out having fun.
Well, I was with my then girlfriend at the time, so
Sure you were. Dan the man was at home with his binoculars trying to see some birds at night, some night birds.
yeah, exactly. That's where the passion started.
So that's why I think I called you Dan. And, fair dues, a nice term there to say, got to give the person credit. He came, took me to hospital, and,
Mm-hmm.
happy ending, except maybe for my nose.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest was all good. The rest was all good.
That was the last time you stood up for anyone, wasn't it?
Exactly. So now when I see people getting attacked, I just say, right, you just continue, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Especially if I'm not nearby to take you to hospital.
Exactly. That's it. Now Dan the man's not going to take me to hospital. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah. Probably say that you won that one then. Okay, so your boss blames you for something, Dan. Okay, you didn't do it. What do you do? Do you stick up for yourself and tell your boss no, or do you just accept the punishment? What do you do?
I've actually had that. Before. And then there was a big meeting with my manager, who was the guy who was a fucking prick, and the big boss and someone else. And
the big boss. This sounds like a computer game. At the end of the level where you have to kill the big boss to go to the next level. Is this what happened?
No, well, kind of like that, I guess. But it was actually
did you pick up a brick again?
No. But it was quite a funny meeting because my friend was also in there, and he was also being accused of something. And two things funny happened. One was my friend said, because this guy said, "Yeah, I'm your boss. You have to respect me." And my friend went,
Oh.
"You have to earn respect, and I don't respect you." And then he said, the guy said to me, "The thing about you, Dad, is you're unmanageable," and I quite like that.
That you took that as a compliment. Yeah, I think we had this term last week of a loose cannon. Again, that's Dan. You just cannot control him. That's why he became a freelance human being, because
as are you now.
You cannot control him. I am indeed, Dan. Yes, someone actually asked me recently, can we call you a freelance human being? And I said, I suppose, yeah. I have been to Dan the man for some advice.
Didn't get any.
But yeah, I've joined the crew.
Mm-hmm.
I just want it to be part of the gang.
Mm-hmm. It's empowering, isn't it? It's empowering.
Absolutely, and a lovely term, gives you power, let's say.
Hang on. What about you? Are you going to answer that question?
Oh, I've done that as well, Dan. I've done that as well. I worked in a pub, and the manager, well, he didn't actually accuse me of doing anything, but he was basically having a go at me. So remember, you have a go at someone, basically you're criticising them. And I basically just told him where to stick it, which is a lovely term, just to say I basically told him to fuck off.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, and then I walked out of that pub, got in my car, drove home, and on the way home I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, I've left my coat there. What am I going to do?
God. Always have your stuff ready.
Yeah, and then I thought, how much do I need that coat? My pride is going to be very hurt if I go back there now and just say, I know I just told you to fuck off, but can I pick up my coat? It's in the staff room. Can you get that for me? Is that all right?
No, the only way you could have done it is kick the door down, go, where the fuck's my fucking coat? And then people would have been scared of you enough just to give it to you.
Yeah, I think I tried that. I went there and then I tried to kick the door down, but it was really, really rigid, really, really stiff.
Hit you back in the face, and then I had to take you to hospital.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. But in reality, what actually happened was I decided to leave the coat because I thought my pride was more valuable. And I must admit...
So you've definitely lost this round.
No, I literally told the manager to fuck off and quit the job.
You sacrificed your coat because you were too scared to go and get it. So you've lost the round. You've lost that round.
I wasn't too...
You cannot argue that you've won that round. No way.
I wasn't too scared. I was too proud, let's say. And to be honest, there has not been a day that has gone by where I haven't thought about that coat. But yes, I think we'll give that one to me. So last but not least, Dan.
I don't think we should give that one to you. I think that's, to me, a draw, if anything.
Okay, let's say a draw. Nice term there, if anything, which I will actually explain more on the website because that's quite a complicated one. So, as I said, last but not least, Dan, quite a strange one here. Are you scared of nudity? So, nudity, being naked. So, by this, I mean of other people seeing you naked, Dan. Like, are you of your body? Are you scared of this?
I'm not scared of my body, but I won't wave my dick around for no reason.
Just wave it around. A wave just to say hi to someone. Just like flying it around, let's say. For no reason. I mean, number one, that's illegal. So I think you would be arrested.
Yeah, that's one way to scare off the robbers.
You know what? I think we've got the solution now. Forget the brick.
Just take your clothes
Just pull
off.
your trousers and pants down, and then they will start running away. But I must admit, so for example, when I'm at home, actually you live in a flat as well. Do you have any windows when people might be able to see you?
Yeah, we have windows. It's an amazing thing.
I know, it really is crazy, isn't it? Well, what about in the morning, you're getting changed. How much are you worrying? I really need to make sure everything's closed so no one can see me.
I think about it because people can walk past our window because there's a passway. So I don't want to ruin, people's breakfast and, so yeah. I mean, I just get changed not in the street. I don't know. Call me old-fashioned.
It's a strange thing, isn't it? Well, for example, when I get changed at home, I very much think, I'm in my house, so I'm entitled to pull my pants down without feeling embarrassed. So I just go free.
Yeah, it's not your problem. You live opposite a school. It's not your problem that those kids walk past. So,
I mean, I'm on the second floor, so you would have to have some strange person like you, Dan, walking around with binoculars to.
Hey, I'm looking for birds. Okay.
Sure you are. That's what you're doing with the binoculars. You're going around looking in other people's windows. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, you've got me.
So I think that's the end of it, and I think we can safely say that I am the braver of the two of us.
Yeah.
So
sounds about right.
Good competition.
Yeah.
You did well, Dan.
So what was the
you
scores?
Did yourself proud.
What was the scores?
3-2, I think.
Yeah.
But better luck next time. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. What a complete waste of time that was.
I mean, that every episode is a waste of time, Dan. Okay, so nothing changes. But a pleasure as always. Speak to you soon.
Yep. Speak to you later.
Bye. Okay, so that was Dan the Man and me speaking about bravery. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, go to rockandrollenglish.com/220 for all of the R&R vocab. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.